The night on the ruined colony was heavy with silence. The broken streets were filled with cracked stone, rusted metal, and the faint smell of fire that once consumed the place. A lonely human named Aaron walked carefully through the rubble, his flashlight cutting thin lines in the darkness. He was not looking for treasure. He was only searching for shelter, food, and maybe signs of life. Most believed this world was dead. But Aaron never trusted silence completely. As he stepped around the corner of a collapsed building, he heard it, a voice soft and trembling, almost lost in the shadows. "Please, spray me down." The words were weak but clear. Aaron froze. His heart pounded. He thought at first it was his imagination. The ruins often played tricks. But then again the voice came more desperate. "Human, please wash me." Aaron's flashlight moved across broken walls, piles of debris and twisted beams of metal. Then the light caught something. A figure huddled in the corner, curled up like a forgotten shadow. The shape was small but alive. Shaking, he moved closer. The smell of mud, grease, and burned plastic grew stronger. And there, half hidden under a broken beam, was a young alien woman. Her skin, under layers of dirt and ash, looked pale blue. Her hair was tangled. Filled with dust, her clothes were shredded into rags, and her large, glowing eyes looked up at him with a strange mix of fear and hope. She was beautiful, but that beauty was buried under layers of grime, bruises, and exhaustion. Her lips trembled as she whispered again, "Spray me down, human. Please wash me." Aaron did not know what to say. Of all the things he had expected in the ruins, raiders, machines, even corpses, this was not one of them. He had found a survivor, but instead of begging for food or safety, she was asking for something strange. She wanted to be cleaned. He crouched slowly, keeping his flashlight steady. Why are you here? Who left you?" he asked in a quiet voice. The alien woman blinked and her tears carved thin lines through the dirt on her face. "They left me. Useless, dirty," she whispered. Her voice cracked. "I cannot carry weight. I cannot fight, so they threw me away, left me to rot in the dust. I begged them to help me, but they laughed. They said no one would touch me now." Aaron felt a heavy knot form in his chest. Her words were not just about dirt. They carried shame, rejection, and loneliness. Whoever abandoned her had taken away her dignity as well. And now all she wanted was something so small, something almost ordinary, to be washed. To feel human, or at least alive again, he looked around the ruin. His pack had little in it: dried food, a few tools, a small spray canister he used to clean equipment. That must have been what she noticed. Maybe the faint hiss of the sprayer when he walked past had reminded her of something she lost long ago. The alien woman pulled her knees closer to her chest. Her voice was shaking now, almost breaking. "Please, human, I beg you. I do not care if I die after, just spray me clean once. Let me not die dirty." Her glowing eyes locked onto his, and Aaron saw no trick, no lie, only raw desperation. The silence around them grew heavier, broken only by the far-off creak of ruined towers in the wind. Aaron's mind spun with questions. Who was she? What people had done this to her? Why would a simple act of kindness mean more to her than food or water? But the more he looked at her, the more he realized this was not about logic. It was about dignity, about her last wish before life slipped away. His hand tightened on the strap of his pack. He stepped closer, and the beam of his flashlight revealed the scars under the grime. Thin cuts, burns, marks of someone who had been used and discarded. She flinched at the light but did not turn away. She only kept whispering, "Spray me down, spray me down," as though the words themselves were keeping her alive. Aaron took a deep breath. He had a choice: walk away and leave her in the shadows, or stay and do something that could change her final memory. His pulse thundered in his ears. The night around them felt colder, but his decision burned warm inside his chest. He knelt down and set his pack on the ground. The alien woman's eyes widened as she realized what he was about to do. Her lips trembled again, and for the first time, a flicker of hope shone in her broken face. Aaron's fingers touched the spray canister, and he felt the weight of the moment. The ruined world seemed to hold its breath. The shadows leaned closer, and her begging voice, so fragile and haunting, echoed in his mind. The question was no longer whether he could wash her. The question was what truth would come to light once he did. And as his hand pressed on the sprayer, the first hiss of water mist broke the silence of the night. The fine mist of water touched the alien woman's skin, At first she gasped, her shoulders flinching as though struck. For so long she had been covered in filth, burned by the dust and grease of ruined machines, that even the soft touch of water felt strange. Her wide eyes blinked rapidly, watching the droplets slide down her arms, leaving pale blue trails where the dirt melted away. Aaron held the spray canister carefully. His hand shook a little, not from fear but from the weight of the moment. He had fought storms, hunger, and even raiders before, but never had something felt so delicate, so fragile. He was not cleaning a machine. He was not fixing equipment. He was restoring a soul. The alien woman shivered, her lips parting in a quiet sound that was half a sigh. Half a sob, she pressed her palms together, holding them close as if afraid he might stop. "More," she whispered. "Please, more." Aaron shifted, kneeling closer. The light of his flashlight reflected off the mist. Turning the ruined corner into a small sanctuary, he sprayed again, slow and steady. The grime on her face softened, dripping away, revealing high cheekbones and smooth skin hidden beneath the filth. Her glowing eyes looked brighter, shimmering as though they were made of glass. Every drop carried meaning. Every streak of dirt that slid away was like a piece of pain being washed off. Aaron did not speak. He only worked with focus, letting the water hiss gently in the air. The alien woman lowered her head slightly, tears mixing with the spray running down to her chin. The water revealed scars too. Long thin lines across her shoulders, burns near her wrists, marks that told stories of chains and cruel work. Aaron's chest tightened. He wanted to look away, but she did not hide them. She sat still, letting him see, letting him know that she had nothing left to conceal. When the dirt on her arms finally faded, her pale blue skin almost glowed under the light. Aaron felt a strange awe, not because of her beauty alone, but because of her strength, even broken, even abandoned. She still endured, still breathed, still begged for a chance to feel clean again. She whispered again, her voice trembling. You do not know what this means, human." Her words cracked like fragile glass. They called me worthless, too weak, too dirty. They left me to rot, said no one would ever touch me again, but you give me back what they took." Aaron paused for a moment. Lowering the canister, he met her eyes, glowing with both fear and hope. "No one deserves to be left like this," he said softly. His voice carried no judgment, only quiet resolve. The alien woman closed her eyes for a second, letting the mist fall across her face as if it were sunlight. "I thought I would die with the dust in my skin, with shame in my bones," she whispered, "but now, even if death comes, I will not die dirty. I will not die forgotten." Aaron's throat tightened. He continued spraying, the water cutting through the filth on her shoulders, her back and her chest where her clothes had torn. She winced once or twice when the water touched a wound, but she did not tell him to stop. Instead, she leaned forward slightly, almost pressing into the mist, craving it as though it were life itself. As the grime melted away, Aaron noticed small markings etched faintly into her skin. Not scars, but natural patterns, almost like shimmering tattoos that glowed faint silver when wet. They had been hidden under layers of dirt, but now they emerged, curling across her arms and neck like streams of light. He stared in wonder, and she noticed. "These are my people's marks," she said softly. "Our heritage, our identity, but covered in filth. I felt empty, without worth. Now you see them again, and I feel alive." The moment was fragile but powerful. Aaron realized that what he was doing was not just cleaning her body. He was restoring her identity. She had been treated as a thing to discard. But now she was a person again, someone with history, beauty, and dignity. The air filled with steam and silence, broken only by the hiss of the spray. The ruined colony around them seemed to fade, leaving only the glow of her skin and the steady rhythm of his hand. For the first time since he arrived, Aaron felt the ruins breathe with life. When he finally lowered the canister again, the alien woman's face was clear, her hair damp and clinging to her cheeks. Her glowing eyes shone like stars. She reached up with trembling fingers, touching her own skin as if she could not believe it. A broken laugh escaped her lips, mixed with tears. "I am clean," she whispered, almost afraid to believe the words. Aaron nodded slowly. "Yes," he said, "you are," but deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning. Her scars told of horrors. Her desperation spoke of dangers still near. Somewhere in the ruins, the ones who abandoned her might still be lurking, and the act of washing her, simple as it seemed, might awaken more than just her hope. It might awaken enemies who wanted her to remain broken. The alien woman leaned closer, her voice almost a breath. "Do not leave me, human. Please finish what you started." Her tone carried both fear and trust, binding him to her in that dark corner of the ruined world. And as Aaron looked at her, no longer only a shadow of filth, but a being shining with fragile dignity, he felt a strange certainty. This was not just an act of mercy. This was the start of something far greater, something that would change both their lives. The night was still, the ruins heavy with silence once again. But in that silence, a fragile bond had been born, carried in the hiss of water and the trembling voice of an abandoned alien beauty, who no longer wished to die dirty. The water mist still hung in the air like a soft veil between the ruined world and the two souls hidden in its shadows. Aaron's hand was tired from holding the spray, but he did not stop. Every hiss of water seemed to draw more life into the alien woman, every droplet pulling her further away from despair. She leaned forward, eyes half closed, breathing as though each spray was more precious than air. For a long time she said nothing. But when her shoulders stopped trembling and her hands rested loosely on her knees, she began to speak. Her voice was quiet, but the silence of the ruins carried it clearly. "My name is Soraya," she whispered. Her words trembled but did not break. "I was born among the Lurethi, a people who believed beauty was worth only as much as its shine. We were praised for our glowing marks, for the patterns on our skin that told of our families. But when the work camps came, when the raiders took us, that beauty became a curse." Aaron slowed his spraying. Listening, the mist floated gently, steam rising from the damp ground. Soraya's glowing eyes looked not at him, but at the dirt-stained wall behind. Her thoughts were far away, trapped in memories she had locked inside for too long. They forced us into machines, digging, lifting, carrying. Our skin bled. Our marks faded under dirt and grease. I tried to keep mine bright. I tried to clean myself, but they laughed. They said no one would see me as anything but trash. They told me I was too weak, too soft, not worth the food I ate. Her hands gripped her knees tighter, claws scratching lightly at her own damp skin. And when I fell, when I could not stand, they left me alone, covered in filth. They said, "Let the dust finish her." Aaron's chest tightened. He had seen cruelty before, but hearing it in her trembling voice was different. The water that ran down her arms now mixed with tears. He wanted to tell her to stop, that she did not need to relive it. But he knew she had to. This was not just cleaning her body. This was cleansing her heart. Soraya's voice dropped lower. "For days I waited. I thought someone would come back. Even another slave, even a raider. But no one came. I was nothing, less than nothing. I began to believe them," I whispered to the dust, asking it to take me quickly, but still I lived, dirty, broken, ashamed. She raised her head slowly, meeting Aaron's eyes for the first time since she began speaking. "Then you came and you sprayed me with water, something so small, yet it was more than anything they gave. In that moment, human, I felt I was alive again." Aaron did not answer right away. His throat was tight. He focused instead on her hair, spraying the last of the dirt from it. The strands untangled, dark and shining when wet, framing her face like they belonged to someone who had never seen despair. The contrast was painful and beautiful at the same time. "You do not owe me this," Soraya whispered. "You could have walked away. You could have let me fade. Why do you stay?" Aaron paused, lowering the spray for a moment. His eyes scanned the ruins, the collapsed buildings, the flickering shadows. "Because I've seen enough thrown away in this galaxy," he said softly. "Too many left behind, too many forgotten. If I leave you, I'm no better than them." Soraya's lips parted, but no sound came. Her glowing eyes shone with a mixture of confusion and gratitude. She pressed her hand against her chest, as though trying to hold in the strange warmth rising inside her. The steam curled around them, wrapping the ruined corner in something that felt almost sacred. It was no longer just water cleaning skin. It was trust being built drop by drop. Aaron resumed spraying, working gently along her shoulders and arms. Soraya kept speaking, though her voice grew softer. "When I was young, I believed our marks gave us strength. I thought as long as they glowed, we mattered. But in the camps, I learned they mean nothing if no one respects them. Dirt can cover light, shame can bury worth. I almost forgot I was Soraya. Almost forgot I was alive." Her words cut through the mist like blades. Aaron swallowed hard. He thought of his own world, his own scars, times when he too had been treated as less, and for the first time he realized they were not so different. Soraya lifted her face into the mist, letting it wash over her cheeks.
Now the dirt is gone, she whispered.
Now I remember, I am Soraya, daughter of the Larethi. I was not made to rot in dust. Her voice grew stronger with every word. Aaron watched as her body straightened, as though every spray restored a piece of her strength. The fragile girl he had found trembling in shadows was slowly becoming something more. Not just alive, but alive with purpose. He lowered the canister again, almost empty now. The hiss grew softer, but the silence that followed was louder. Soraya turned to him fully, her damp hair framing her glowing face. You gave me back my name, she said, her voice breaking into a sob. Even if nothing else human, I will never forget this. Aaron looked at her, and though he wanted to promise safety, he could not. Danger still lurked in the ruins. The raiders who left her might return. Machines might patrol the streets again. But one thing was certain, he could not walk away anymore. He packed the sprayer slowly, but his eyes stayed on her. Soraya wiped her tears with trembling hands, then looked at him with new strength. Stay, she whispered. Please, do not let them take this from me again. And in that moment, surrounded by steam and silence, Aaron knew the ruins were no longer just a dead world. They had become the place where an abandoned alien beauty found her voice again, and where a human realized that sometimes saving a life began with something as simple as water. The ruins were quiet, too quiet. The steam from the spray still clung to the air, wrapping Aaron and Soraya in a fragile cocoon of safety. But safety in a broken colony never lasted long. Aaron knew this. His ears stayed sharp, listening beyond her soft breathing, beyond the drip of water on stone. Somewhere out there, the night was moving. Soraya hugged her damp arms, her glowing eyes shining faintly in the dark. For the first time, she looked less broken. Yet Aaron noticed how her gaze flicked often toward the shadows. She was not only afraid of her past, she was afraid of what still hunted in the present. Aaron crouched low, pulling his small scanner from his belt. The screen flickered with weak signals, static filling most of it, but in the distance, faint blips moved across the grid. Slow and deliberate, his chest tightened. Raiders or machines, either was bad news. He turned to Soraya, lowering his voice. We can't stay here. They're coming, her lips trembled. Who? Doesn't matter who, Aaron replied, his tone calm but firm. If they find us, they'll take you back or worse. At the word back, Soraya's body stiffened. Her fingers dug into her damp skin. She shook her head violently. No, not again, I won't go back. I'd rather die here. Aaron placed a steady hand on her shoulder, feeling the slight tremble in her body. Then we make sure that doesn't happen, he said. He packed the empty spray canister into his bag quickly, his eyes scanning the broken structures around them. The ruins were a maze of collapsed walls, shattered towers, and old vehicles rusting in place. Good cover, but also dangerous traps. He needed to move before the hunters drew closer. Soraya clung to his arm as he led her through the rubble. Her bare feet slipped on wet stone, but she kept pace, breathing fast. Every shadow seemed alive, every creak of broken metal a warning. They ducked under a fallen beam. Aaron's flashlight switched off to avoid drawing attention. The world around them was painted only in faint moonlight. Soraya's glowing eyes were like tiny lanterns, dangerous in their brightness. Aaron gently touched her cheek, whispering, "Close them if you can." She blinked, confused, then shut her eyes tightly. The glow dimmed a little, not gone but weaker. Aaron nodded. Better. For a while, only silence followed. Then the sound came, distant but clear. Heavy boots crunching on stone. Aaron pressed Soraya against a wall, holding his breath. His heart hammered as the noise grew closer. Voices echoed in the dark, harsh and cold. Search the east sector. Someone saw lights, another replied. If it's a scavenger, we'll strip him clean. If it's one of the abandoned, we'll take her back. Soraya's body shook against Aaron's chest. He felt her nails dig into his arm as if she were holding on for her life. He whispered so faintly she barely heard it. Stay quiet. Don't move. The shadows stretched as the raiders passed, their outlines sharp under the broken moon, helmets glowing with dull red lights, weapons slung casually as if they owned the ruins. One stopped suddenly, turning his head. Aaron froze. His hand slid toward his knife. The raiders' light swept across the rubble, brushing just inches from their hiding place. Soraya's breath caught. Her body trembling so violently Aaron feared the noise would give them away. He tightened his grip gently, steadying her, willing her to hold on. Then, after a long pause, the raider grunted and moved on. "Nothing here," his voice echoed. "Keep moving." The footsteps faded. Slow and heavy, but not gone. They were searching, methodical. They would circle back, Aaron knew it. He turned to Soraya, whispering, "We can't just hide, they'll sweep again. We need higher ground." Her eyes opened slightly, glowing faintly again. "They'll find us," she whispered back. "Not if we move smart," Aaron said, his tone firm. "Trust me for a moment." She hesitated. Then she nodded, though fear still clung to her face. They slipped out of the narrow gap, climbing carefully over broken concrete slabs. Aaron's movements were precise. Every step chosen with care, Soraya followed close, her thin frame almost weightless, though her breaths came fast. Halfway up a broken wall, Soraya's foot slipped. The stone crumbled beneath her. A sharp crack echoed in the ruins. Aaron spun, grabbing her wrist just in time. The noise carried, bouncing through the hollow city. From the distance, voices shouted, "Over there!" "I heard something." Aaron pulled Soraya up, his muscles straining. Her body pressed close against his for a second as they ducked behind a jagged beam. His jaw tightened. He had wanted to avoid this. But there was no choice now, the hunters knew. Soraya's glowing eyes widened. "They'll catch us." Aaron met her gaze, fierce determination burning in his. "Not if I stop them first." Her breath hitched. She had seen humans before, some cruel, some weak, but never one like this, ready to fight raiders for someone he had only just met. In her heart, a strange new feeling bloomed. Stronger than fear. The footsteps thundered closer. Light sweeping, weapons raised. The ruins were no longer silent. They were alive with danger. Soraya clutched Aaron's arm, whispering with desperate faith, "Don't leave me." Aaron drew his knife slowly, eyes sharp in the moonlight. "I won't," he promised. And as the shadows of the raiders stretched across the broken walls, the fragile safety they had found in steam and silence shattered. The ruins were about to explode with violence, and the bond forged in water and trust would be tested in fire and blood. The air grew heavy as the sound of boots echoed closer. The raiders were not rushing, they were confident. Hunters who believed their prey had nowhere to go. Aaron pressed his back against the jagged wall. Soraya clung to his arm, her glowing eyes trembling with fear. "Stay low," Aaron whispered, his voice calm even though his heart pounded. "No matter what happens, don't run unless I tell you." Soraya nodded shakily, her lips parted as if she wanted to argue, but the words never came. She trusted him now. Trusted the human who had sprayed her clean. The first red beam of light cut across the rubble. Searching, Aaron ducked lower. His hand tightened around his knife, a simple blade against armored raiders with rifles. It was madness, but he had survived worse odds by being clever. Not reckless, three shadows moved into view. Armored helmets, glowing visors, rifles sweeping slowly. One of them crouched to study the ground, his voice muffled by his mask. "Fresh prints? Someone's here." Soraya gasped softly. Aaron covered her mouth with his hand. His eyes never left the raiders, his mind raced. He couldn't fight them all head on, but the ruins were broken, full of traps if he used them right. The raider in front raised his head, his voice sharp. "Spread out." "They're close." As one raider stepped left, Aaron shifted silently to the right, pulling Soraya with him. Every step was careful. His boots barely brushing the stone, he reached a half-collapsed wall where twisted pipes jutted out like claws. He saw what he needed. "Stay here," he whispered to Soraya. She grabbed his arm, shaking her head. "You'll die." Aaron gave her a faint smile. "Not today." He moved, swift and quiet, climbing the beam and gripping the pipes above. His body pressed flat, blending into shadow. Below him, one raider passed, scanning with his rifle. The man never looked up. Aaron struck fast. Dropping down with the knife, the blade slid between armor plates at the neck. The raider gurgled once before collapsing. Soraya covered her mouth, eyes wide with shock. She had never seen such silent defiance. The human killed not with rage, but with grim necessity. The other raiders spun at the noise. "Contact!" One shouted, rifles raising. Aaron grabbed the fallen weapon, a short rifle with weak charge. He fired blindly into the dark. Sparks flying, the bolt struck stone, scattering the raiders, forcing them to cover. "Run!" Aaron shouted, pulling Soraya toward a narrow gap in the rubble. They slipped through, crawling on hands and knees. Energy bolts scorched the stone above their heads. Soraya cried out as dust rained down. Aaron shielded her with his body, dragging her into the shadows. The raiders cursed, boots pounding closer. Aaron pushed Soraya behind a broken machine shell. "Stay here," he whispered again. His eyes burned with determination. He darted back into the open, firing the stolen rifle. The shots weren't accurate, but they were loud, bright. They pulled the raiders toward him and away from Soraya. That was all that mattered. One raider rushed him. Swinging a metal club, Aaron ducked, ramming his shoulder into the man's chest. They crashed into rubble, Aaron's knife flashing again. The fight was brutal, close, desperate. The raider's armored fist slammed into Aaron's ribs, pain exploding. But Aaron drove the blade deeper until the man went still. Another bolt sizzled past his head. Burning stone, Aaron rolled behind cover. Breathing hard, his side ached. Blood warmed his shirt. But he gritted his teeth, forcing himself up. The last raider advanced cautiously. Rifle steady, his visor glowed red in the dark. "Come out, scavenger," he sneered. "You're nothing. You'll die like the others." Aaron's eyes flicked around, searching. Then he saw it, a loose slab above the raider's head, hanging by rusted beams with one quick shot. Aaron fired at the beam. The slab cracked loose, crashing down. The raider screamed once before silence returned. The ruins fell quiet again, broken only by Aaron's ragged breathing. He leaned against the wall, blood dripping from his side. His hands shook, not from fear but from exhaustion. He had stood against hunters armed with better weapons and lived. Soraya rushed from her hiding place, her eyes wide with horror and awe. She knelt beside him, her hands trembling as they touched his arm. "You're hurt," she whispered. Aaron gave a rough laugh, wincing at the pain. "I've been worse." Tears welled in her eyes, but not from sadness alone. She had seen humans before, but never like this. A man who risked his life not for gain, not for glory, but for her, an abandoned alien left to die. "You fought for me," she whispered, her voice breaking. You chose me over yourself." Aaron met her glowing gaze. His voice was quiet, steady. "No one should be left behind, not you. Not anyone." Soraya's tears spilled, but her lips curved into the faintest smile. She pressed her forehead lightly against his shoulder, trembling but alive for the first time in years. She felt not discarded, not worthless, but protected. The ruins around them were still dangerous. More raiders could come, machines could stir, but in that moment, in the silence after the storm, Soraya realized something. This human was not just cleaning her skin. He was fighting to clean the stain the galaxy had left on her soul. And as Aaron tightened his grip on the rifle, wincing from his wound but standing tall, one truth burned between them. His defiance was not only against the raiders, it was against the cruel world that said she had no worth. The ruins had gone silent again. Only the faint drip of water and Aaron's rough breathing filled the air. The raiders lay scattered among broken stone, their red lights dim, their voices gone. Soraya knelt beside Aaron, her damp hair falling over her glowing face. Her hands trembled as she tried to press against his wound. "You bleed," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Because of me," Aaron grunted, tightening his hand over her smaller ones. "Because of them," he corrected softly, "not you." Her glowing eyes shimmered, tears forming but not falling. For the first time, she did not look like a broken shadow. She looked alive, awake, touched by something she had thought forever lost. Hope. They moved together into a sheltered corner of the ruins, Aaron's strength fading but his will unbroken. Soraya helped him sit, her fragile arms stronger than he expected. She tore part of her ragged clothing and pressed it against his side. Her movements were clumsy, but careful. She wanted to heal him, just as he had healed her. The silence between them was not empty. It was full of something new, something fragile but powerful. Aaron leaned back, letting his tired eyes rest on her. She was no longer the filthy, abandoned creature he had first found. The dirt was gone, the grime washed away, and beneath it stood a soul rediscovering itself. Soraya touched her skin gently, fingers tracing the silver marks that now shone clearly. "I had forgotten they were beautiful," she whispered. "When I looked at myself before, I saw only filth, only weakness, but now I see me again." Aaron's lips curved into the faintest smile. "That's who you always were," he said quietly. "The dirt never changed that." Her chest rose sharply, as though the words pierced through years of shame. She lowered her head, her voice trembling. "Do you know what it means, human? For one of my kind to be touched, to be washed? It means trust, it means worth, and you gave that to me when I thought I had none left." Aaron studied her, the way her glowing eyes refused to look away now. The way her shoulders sat straighter, he realized she was not simply clean on the outside. She was becoming whole on the inside, her broken dignity piecing itself back together with every word. The faint mist from his canister still clung to the ground. He picked it up slowly, though it was nearly empty, and sprayed once more across her hands. The hiss was soft, gentle. She gasped as the droplets caught the silver patterns on her skin. They lit up like streams of starlight. Her eyes widened, a sob breaking free. "I thought I was lost," she whispered, tears spilling freely now, "but you gave me back my soul." Aaron reached out, resting his rough hand over her damp fingers. "No one can take that from you, Soraya," he said firmly. "Not them, not the dirt, not anyone." She stared at him, the sobs fading into silence. Her lips trembled, but then curved into the smallest, truest smile he had seen since he arrived on this ruined world. It was not the smile of someone rescued, but the smile of someone reborn for the first time. She looked around the ruins not with fear but with defiance. "This place buried me," she said softly, "but it will not bury me again. I am not their trash. I am not their broken toy. I am Soraya of the Lurethi, and I will rise." Aaron watched her, pain in his side forgotten for a moment. In her glowing eyes he saw strength growing, strength he had only glimpsed before. She was no longer the trembling voice in the dark. She was something brighter, something alive. The night stretched on, but the ruins no longer felt as empty. Together they sat in the corner, her fragile body pressed close as if guarding him now. Her fingers never left his arm, as though afraid he might vanish. "You fought for me," she whispered again. "So now I fight for you." Aaron gave a faint laugh, shaking his head. "I think you've already started." She tilted her head, confused until she realized her own words carried fire, the same fire she once thought dead. That fire was back, stronger than ever. The mist finally faded, the last of the spray gone. But the bond it had built remained. Soraya touched her chest, where her heart glowed faintly under pale blue skin. "They took everything from me," she whispered. "But they did not take this moment. You gave me back more than water. You gave me back myself." Aaron leaned his head against the cold stone, his voice rough but steady. "Then that's enough." Soraya gazed at him for a long time, her smile trembling but real. She realized something then, something she could not yet speak aloud. This human was not only her savior, he was her anchor, the reason her soul had been pulled from the dust. And as the ruins slept around them, broken and silent, one alien beauty and one wounded human found strength not in weapons or power, but in the simple act of restoring worth. Soraya, once abandoned, once covered in dirt, now shone inside and out for the first time. She believed the words she spoke in a trembling whisper. "I am clean, not only in body but in soul." The ruins were quiet again, but the silence no longer felt empty. It felt alive, as if the stones themselves had witnessed something they had not seen in years, a soul rising from dust. Aaron sat against the cold wall, his body tired, his side aching from the wound. Yet when he looked at Soraya, he did not feel weakness, he felt strength. She sat close beside him, her damp hair falling gently against her shoulders. Her glowing eyes stared into the dark, but they no longer held only fear. They carried light, the kind that comes after long darkness. She turned to him, her voice soft but steady. "When you found me, I was nothing. I begged you for water, for dignity, and you gave it. You gave more than I ever dreamed. You gave me back my worth." Aaron exhaled slowly, his breath misting in the cold night. "You were never nothing, Soraya," he said, his voice rough but true. "They tried to make you believe that, but they were wrong. I only showed you what was already there." Her chest tightened, tears filling her eyes again, but this time they were not from sorrow. They were from a strange joy, the joy of being seen, being valued. All my life I thought I needed their approval, their voices to say I mattered, but you, a stranger, a human, proved me wrong with a single act. You fought for me when no one else would. Aaron's lips curved into the faintest smile, his hand resting lightly on hers. "Then remember this," he said quietly. "Never let anyone bury you again. Not in dirt, not in shame. You are Soraya, and you shine brighter than they ever wanted you to." Her tears fell, but she smiled through them. She leaned closer, resting her forehead gently against his shoulder. "Then I will shine, but not alone. I want to walk with you." Human, Aaron closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the warmth of her fragile body against him. He had traveled so long alone through silence and death, and now, in the ruins of a broken world, he found something he never expected, a bond stronger than survival. The night stretched on, the stars peeking through cracks in the ruined towers above. Soraya lifted her head, staring at them. "Do you see?" she whispered. "The stars, they are watching. They remind me that even in darkness light exists." She turned to him, her glowing eyes burning with a new fire. "You are like that, human. You are the light I found in ruin." Aaron's heart tightened. He wanted to speak, to deny it, but the truth was there. He had not saved her for glory. He had not fought for her for reward. He had done it because he could not stand to see life discarded. And in doing so, he had found his own purpose. The ruins groaned as wind swept through the broken towers. A distant echo stirred, reminding them that danger was not gone. Raiders could return, machines could rise again. The world was still cruel, still broken. But Soraya no longer looked at it with despair. She looked at it with defiance. She rose slowly to her feet, standing tall though her body still carried scars. Her silver patterns glowed faintly across her skin. Shimmering like constellations, she looked down at Aaron and offered her hand. "Come with me," she said firmly. "Let us not hide, let us not crawl, let us walk forward. Together." Aaron stared at her hand for a long moment. His ribs ached, his muscles screamed. But when he saw the strength in her glowing eyes, he placed his hand in hers. She pulled him up, fragile but steady. For the first time since arriving, Aaron felt the ruins shift, not as a graveyard but as a place of rebirth. The woman he had found begging in the dirt was no longer a beggar. She was something greater. As they moved through the rubble, Soraya whispered, "I was abandoned. I was covered in filth, I begged for water. But now I am more, I am Soraya, and I will never be worthless again." She looked at him with quiet fire. "And you, human? You are now part of my story." Aaron tightened his grip on the rifle, his other hand holding hers. "Then let's write it," he said. The two walked deeper into the ruins, their figures small against the broken towers. But their bond strong, stronger than the silence around them. The galaxy had tried to strip her dignity, had tried to bury her worth in dirt and shame. But one human had refused, and in that refusal Soraya had been reborn. And though the night still carried dangers, though enemies might yet rise, Soraya no longer walked as the abandoned alien who once begged to be washed. She walked as a soul cleansed, a spirit shining, a beggar who became more. The ruins did not claim her, the dirt did not bury her. And as her glowing eyes burned in the night, one truth echoed louder than the silence. She was not nothing. She was everything she was meant to be.